Is it working? No, now the camera's broken. Everything is broken.
No, I'm still here, so it's fine.
Cody's here.
Now I'm on top of Sean.
Just move him over there, I guess, and that'll be fine. And my hair looks stupid, and everything's fine.
Oh,
it's all fine. Welcome to Gray Areas for April 15th, 2025. It's tax day, but the guy who cares about taxes isn't here, so fuck that. Episode 669, Make Your Sex Jokes Now. And welcome to the first of 2 episodes without Dave because he's in Abu Dhabi.
It's a 2-parter.
Part 1, Dave's gone. Part 2, Dave's still gone.
Right. Part 3, will Dave still be gone? I mean, I guess we're going to find out, but...
He could still be gone.
Maybe they'll pull, like a Succession, and he'll get, kidnapped for, his salary. Or something.
Maybe.
Like a hostage situation.
Like how you went to Succession's version
of
kidnapping for...
I don't know if he's... Comparatively to the people on Succession...
Did we ever decide in that episode if that was a kidnapping?
They were worried it was going to be.
But we never actually clarified if they were kidnapped in that episode.
Ended up being nothing at all. But, Anyways,
I really did actually enjoy that episode, so thank you for reminding me of it.
Yeah, it was good. So Dave's gone.
He's gone.
So, yeah, when you were trying to get him to pick which one of his kids to get rid of, his kids just picked to get rid of him. So he's the one that actually is gone, and his kids are all still around, so that's great.
Yeah, it was like a deal for a devil.
Yep.
He has to choose a life. I'm spitting everywhere, and he chose himself.
You're crying. It's
I'm
mouth
just
tears.
So choked up.
It's mouth tears, and you're choked up about Dave's permanent 2-week disappearance.
Yeah, it's great actually. I think it'll be good for the show.
Morale.
Just kidding, Dave.
We'll miss him a little bit when he comes back. I think the first episode when he's back, we'll have to do a Suns wrap, which. It's probably fine to wait till the fallout of this is a little bit more known anyways. Coach Budenholzer's already gone, but there sounds like there's going to be more heads rolling than that, so it's not like something we need to get to right away. For the longtime devoted followers of the show, you might think this might be the most interesting one coming up. I guess you can argue in a way it is because we were so far off on our projections
so
that
is everybody.
We're going to have some reckoning to talk about, not because we failed, but because the Suns failed.
You know what? I think we need to talk about coaching at large in the NBA. Because a lot of the stuff that Bud was fired for, which we can get into, it was stuff that and Michael Malone, same thing. I'm kind of so he was being a head coach. They don't want a head coach, though. They want a buddy.
But I mean, that's what more and more with the player empowerment thing is. It's step 2 of the level of a whole nother. We don't really want to be told what to do. We just want to go play basketball basically by ourselves and do whatever we want.
I don't think Bud was perfect. I think his offense, it turns out in that famous clip where he was play random, that's his entire philosophy, for example. There are no sets. It's just just go play. But a lot of stuff, he's I think if you can fit in this role or if I can get this from you, and players I don't want you to tell me that.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want to be told what to do.
The reports have been that both of the last 2 coaches, Vogel and Budenholzer, have lost the locker room. And they both had 1 season. It's one thing when you get to a Monty Williams situation, who also wasn't here for that long, by the way. Mm-hmm. But if you have 5-6 years and eventually the same voice starts to grate a little bit, I can at least understand it. I think that's still overblown. Doing it twice in 2 seasons is unfathomable, and it makes you look at the locker room instead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At what point do you look at it and be oh, maybe I'm the problem?
I mean, this sounds harsh, but it's probably for a much deeper Suns discussion, but I also would look above. I understand your team's obviously happily spending money and your ownership's paying money. I'm really curious what the leadership from ownership is as a whole with that franchise right now.
Yep.
Because if you fire 3 coaches in 3 years and the players are well, basically, if ownership's going to keep firing everybody, we can do whatever the fuck we want. We'll just get this next guy fired. The grouping you have, and so it's and you're locked into your roster in a way, and how the fuck do you get rid of some of the people who might be a bad influence around your team right now that you don't, I mean, one of them's kind of obvious, but you don't know the rest of it.
Yeah, and again, one of the things was he, Nurkic was you said I set bad screens, and I was a bad teammate. Fucking girl. I don't know. Maybe it's bad. I don't know the full story. I'm just a lot of stuff I'm hearing, once it's coming out, I'm oh, maybe this is something that would be nice to kind of work through.
It would also be...
show some adversity.
It would also be something else if these weren't coaches. I mean, Vogel and Bud had success in other places. This is not like you hired a first-time head coach and he was overwhelmed and sucked. Then you went back and hired another first-time coach and he was overwhelmed and he sucked. The 2 guys who had done pretty decently, one beat you in the fucking title game or championship series. And it's like, it's bizarre to me that, again, it feels like some toxic ass culture around the locker room and franchise more than it is an indictment of the coaches. Because again, just you fired 3 in 3 years, so it can't be the coach being the only problem there at some point.
Yep.
We have a lot of fingers to point, and people, as we talked about a few weeks ago, really wanted to point it in one direction. We're going to point them in a lot of directions. And that's really the only way to reckon with a team that disappointed by this wide of a margin.
Even my golden boy.
So, yeah,
he deserves some blame.
Every single player deserves some blame.
Yep.
Everybody in the front office, because people are like, oh, James Jones is good. Oh, James Jones sucks. The front office meddled. The ownership meddled. Everyone meddled. And it would feel like if you're going to fire the coach, that Bartelstein probably also has to go. Jones is going to be off of his contract anyways, so he might just be gone by like a attrition, sort of. Like, just let him go. We'll see. Ishbia's not going anywhere, and he's still better than Sarver, but he may present his own problems. So I don't know. People have been trying to figure out, like, well, what's our road back to getting out of this? And it's like, it's probably going to be complicated and drawn out and messy. I don't think it's going to be just just trade these two and then we'll be fine next year. It's like, no, we have problems and they're going to take a while.
That was the point you made after last season, was maybe shift some pieces around and then it'll be better. And that was that it didn't get you anywhere. And now you're here.
Yep.
But yeah, it's Booker's responsibility for being the locker room being lost twice. Well, there's a certain person who would be a locker room leader in a certain way. And if he's on the lost side or he's on the side of everyone doesn't listen to him either, like there's a weird role that it has to kind of be dove into. I don't know when the fuck you're going to get the truth of that, but it's a fascinating concept, really.
Yeah. But in Dave's absence, and just to have maybe a shorter episode this week a little bit, I thought we would go to 20 questions because we haven't done it for more than like a month. And Maisie asked the question, by the way. I don't want to ignore the folks in chat, sorry, but will they get rid of Booker? I don't think any options off the table. We'll probably go into that more in the Suns cast, so I don't want to spend a ton of time on it here because Dave will have thoughts too. But at the very least, it's a non-zero chance.
It is a non-zero chance. Everything they've said, Maisie, has been there's no way, but there is a way, and it depends on what is. It's the least likely of the three for the most part. Although getting rid of Beal is going to be its own. We want to get rid of Beal. Whether we can do it or not is going to be its own thing.
Yeah, you want to ship Booker out and package him with Beal, and then find some of your picks back or whatever. It's like. There's avenues where it would help you, maybe, but there's also a million ways where it just makes you catastrophically terrible and pisses off the fan base.
Because there's only one direction Devin Booker's going, and it's Houston, if it's anywhere. Because you don't make that trade unless you're getting your own picks back to tank.
Exactly.
Like, that's pretty much it. I mean, if somebody gives you some kind of fucking Shai Gilgeous-Alexander-esque offer.
Yeah, Luka.
Another
Luka deal.
Yeah. Yeah, another Luka deal for one pick and some lint at the bottom of a pocket. So anyways, wanted to pop that up before we switch gears. Let's switch to, nope, not that one. This one, not the video before the thing. Great. Okay. Just the two of you. You haven't tried it with these two, so we're going to see how this goes. I'm going to keep the goal at 45 because it is just the two of you. We're going to move it down to 40, but Dave's not here. And I've also tried to pick slightly harder players. I'm still not going to go for the most obscure nonsense. I don't think that's any fun. So you'll have at least heard of all three of these players, but how hard it is to get there, I guess we'll see. If you guys smoke 45 again, then we'll definitely go to 40 next time. But the goal is 45 across 3 sets of 20 questions. You can go up to 20 on any of them. But, of course, one of your questions has to be, is this player X? So your 20th question has to be the last one.
I had a long day at work, so this is going to be all you, by the way.
I don't know shit.
No, I mean, like, at least
I set the path out.
Yeah. So
then I hope you know what player it might be.
Let's go with the obvious ones. I'm better at the salary game or the PER game because I just know so many mediocre players.
You did establish that you were the best at that.
Yes. So anyways, what's that? What conference?
So
right?
the strategy normally goes conference, then we try and figure out active player, where they play, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, did this player play the majority of their career in the Western Conference?
Majority of career in the West is no.
Yeah, so they're mostly an Eastern Conference player. So then Dave always does he tries to middle it of saying, are they like currently active? And then we go into eras if they're not. So are they currently an active player?
Currently an active player. Yes.
Which makes sense for it being easy. They think most of the time most of these have been easy.
I don't think, unless I want to go hopelessly obscure, that I can put an active player in hard anymore.
I agree. I mean, I agree. Unless you're going to go, yes, like the 13th man of the Orlando
because
Magic.
now we know conferences too. So and divisions.
Yes, now because
divisions.
it's an active player and they've been in these, now you could ask about the divisions.
I
I'm not
don't
going to
know
lie. I don't remember the names of the divisions.
I
in the
don't
Eastern
either.
Conference.
I don't either.
I literally don't know what they are.
I don't, especially in the East.
I mean, it's
I know a little bit.
it's Southeast Atlantic and
I don't mind if you pull them up on your phone.
Okay.
Especially because at this stage, you don't really have anything else to go off of to look up and cheat. I don't think you would cheat anyway. You know what I mean? Like,
no, I mean, you're right. Like,
what are you going to look up? A player
I can
in
look
the
up
West.
every Eastern Conference active player right now.
I mean, there's only going to be, because that's why there isn't, like, just it's a math problem where if it's hard and it's active, there's only, 15 times 30, so 450 players all time. There's what, 10,000 players, or I don't know. So the math just doesn't make it. You can narrow it down so much easier on active.
This is not as easy to Google as I was expecting.
Just go to the fucking. No, never mind. Actually, I was going to tell you something stupid, and I was like, you know what? I don't think anyone even keeps the standings by division.
You can go by standings. ESPN will have them. I don't think that's the default view, but it should still be there.
Not in this one.
If I pick up my phone and just Google what are the divisions of the Eastern Conference,
AI will answer that.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I Googled. NBA East divisions.
All right.
I got it. It's fine. I'll take
See,
care
it was
of
hard though, right?
Division. Atlantic is Boston, New York, Toronto.
It was not
Brooklyn,
hard. It's
Philadelphia.
Atlantic, Southeast, and Central.
Central is Cleveland, Indiana, Milwaukee, Detroit, Chicago.
So let's go with the one with Boston.
Yes. So do you want to go? We need to go with. Do they currently play in the Atlantic Division? Is how we phrase these?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Chris, do they currently play in the Atlantic Division?
Are they in the Atlantic Division? No.
So the problem is he can't have tricked us here, and we could say, are they in all three? And they may be in the Western Conference because majority of their career was. I should have said, are they active? Yes or no. Then, do they currently play in the East or West? I did that in the wrong order. Because right now, he could say no to all three divisions. So, we can't actually default and assume it's the other division if we don't get it right now, just so you know.
Well, let's keep track. We got to assume we're on the right track.
No,
so
I'm just pointing it out now before.
Yeah, I mean, you're right.
That's the
problem with the false negative sometimes, right?
Yes.
It's like, so do the
Southeast, right?
Do the Southeast, yeah.
Are they currently in the Southeast Division?
Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Problem solved. Now I need to turn my phone off.
That would be kind of funny though. Like, they're not in the Eastern Conference.
Who is in the Southeast?
Well,
Southeast,
he said it.
I didn't get to that one. Southeast is Orlando, Atlanta, Miami, Charlotte, Washington, Magic, Hawks, Heat, Hornets. Wizards.
See, now from what we just said, are they currently playing for XYZ? We just say, and then we just know at that point that's 4 teams. We would default know the 5th. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to know the team by 9 questions.
So let's try to be strategic. Orlando has, I think, if it's easy, right? It's not a lot of stars. Like Ben Caro is like the casual person is not really gonna know that guy.
I don't even know who the fuck you just
Great.
said.
Okay.
Already. And I watch some NBA.
So like out of that, so Ball is a pretty known name. Trae Young is a pretty known name. Where's Atlanta, Orlando, Miami probably has to be there.
Yes, Miami.
Tyler Hero, Bam Adebayo. Maybe Miami. We can start with Miami. They probably has the most names.
Do they currently play for the Miami Heat?
Are they a Heat? Because that looks funny and stupid. Yes.
Okay.
Are they
on the Heat? Are they?
It's front court or back court now because that shortens the players.
That.
Yeah. Are they primarily a backcourt player?
Are they primarily in the backcourt? Yes.
So to me, that's Hero, right? Like,
I would think so.
On easy, is it Tyler Hero?
Is it Tyler Hero? It is.
Damn.
Okay.
7 questions.
We fucking killed that one.
And I asked it in the wrong order, and it still worked out.
Look at the strategy, though. There was a reason we went with the Heat first.
Yes, because easy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is any player on the Hornets easy?
Ball.
Like that's it.
Yeah, that'd be
basically
it. Yeah.
I think it was good.
Okay.
Oh, there's such a weird frame on this ad on this page right now. It's
Okay, so
ruining
we have to go
everything. All right.
Active. Are they currently active? Then we go dive into did they play the majority of their career? Blah blah blah.
So only 7 questions deep. Even that goal of 40 is looking possible. You can almost get to 45 by going 20 max on both, but not quite.
Yeah, we
38
might.
left. All right. This is now medium, and you can start wherever you like.
Is the player currently active? The answer's
Is
gonna be no.
this player active? No.
Okay. So rather, I think what we did at one point we did like decade.
Yes, it's
and
when did they retire by is what Dave has used. I don't know if you liked that or not though.
I don't, because like let's say if they retired by, I think there's a better way to do it. If they retired by 2000, you're like, great, all we have is 50 years of players.
Did they retire between years?
I'm thinking like, and splitting it by more than a decade, and then maybe narrowing it in from there
and
is a possibility.
It's tricky because Dave tried to do that once, I believe, and I'm like, well, if you just said 90 to 2010, it's a 20-year gap. Like, if they retired in 1991, you still left all of their career outside of that range.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then asking if they played during a 20-year run is too restrictive because then 1 year could be on the outside either way. I don't know if we've mastered how to actually ask these questions
Yeah,
yet.
that's a good point.
For the year generation thing.
Is this player active? No. And I'm also trying to think like a quality of the player. Like, was this in the ESPN 100? Now, literally, that wouldn't be what I
Is
asked,
it on
but,
Bill
like,
Simmons' pyramid of players?
Yeah. Chris, can you look up Bill Simmons' pyramid of...
I'm on it.
I'm going to guess medium. No, maybe not.
I mean, medium, there's still probably a notable player. Why don't we keep... So we did active. Why don't we do conference? Why don't we start with conference? Right, because it's
So
conference don't change.
You want to narrow that down before you know what time they played.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
Because we know it's a question we're going to ask, and we know
Okay.
exactly how to ask it. So,
Did-
Chris,
Yeah, go ahead.
we're going to do the conference question. Did they primarily play Western Conference?
Primarily in the West?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And now, because they're not active, I will not let you do any division questions because Dave is stupid and forgot that there were only 2 divisions at one
Yep,
point.
it does get but we can find out, right? Because when did the divisions change?
Doug
Last
asked a pertinent question, too. Have teams changed conferences?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so the timing matters, but like I think the divisions have been the divisions for the most part.
The best 20 years or so,
Yeah.
I believe, is what we figured out.
What was the question from Dave on did they retire by what was the year? Was it 2000?
I think 2000 was normally when they were cut off. The other option you could say, if you want to know going forward, is were they drafted by blank? And then they would tell you the entry into the league as opposed to being retired. And that's the starting point as opposed to an end point. So that pushes you only forward.
Do you think like 2000? Were they drafted by the year 2000?
Yes, were they drafted in the year 2000 or forward is like the way to ask that, right? Like between 2000 and 2025 because they made 2020.
Well, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, but
2024 because the draft.
it would be the
anyway.
same. It would be the same thing, though, right?
It's the same point. Yes, we're asking the same.
That'd be hilarious if they were drafted in 2024 and they are no longer active. But
And it's only medium.
yeah. So let's do. Were they drafted between 2000 and now?
For space, I'll just say, were they drafted after 1999?
That works.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So now you have a much better gauge of when they would have retired as well, because that means they had to have retired sometime in the last 10 years, basically, unless they sucked
Yeah.
or their
And
knee fell
also,
off.
this means we have a pretty good lock on the division too.
For the most part, yeah, you get a little tricky with the Charlotte situation. Well, Charlotte is Charlotte, and Charlotte didn't move.
Charlotte, New Orleans.
So New Orleans basically, New Orleans shows up. OKC moves
Where's
down.
Memphis when they were Vancouver? Was that always considered East still? It was, right?
Vancouver's extremely in the Western Conference.
Super West.
Great.
It's by
So-
Seattle.
It's like north of Seattle.
Oh,
yeah.
great. So then that would be a possible.
Yes, they would have moved down.
But on medium, I would think.
but they stayed in the Western Conference though.
Oh, that's
Vancouver
fair.
moved
Yeah.
to Memphis, stayed
Yeah.
in the West. Same with New Orleans. New Orleans, that one's trickier, I guess, actually, come to think of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
That's why Memphis is often mentioned in realignment, because they started off in a franchise that made sense in the West, and now they don't.
They don't, yeah. Because you have Seattle goes down and becomes OKC. But
yeah, I was gonna say also Seattle. That's that's a good. Well, why don't we? What's the division with the Lakers? The Pacific.
It's the Pacific Division.
Why don't we say did they play for the Pacific Division? But primarily all that.
Yeah, lock it in.
Yes, that's fine. Which would open the door to them being a supersonic, just for clarification.
Primarily in the Pacific, yes.
Okay.
So Dave quickened some of the teams by doing California because the Pacific Division.
Oh, did they play California? I like that.
Pacific is basically all California. Then he fell for the trick of not realizing that fucking Seattle would have been in the Pacific Division and agitated the shit out of me.
Wait, so is that actually a bad question then?
It is a bad question now because we've already asked Pacific.
Okay.
He asked California thinking it was basically going to cover Pacific, I think, if we look back on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, Dave, Seattle was in the Pacific Division. Seattle was in the Pacific Division.
Pacific Division.
Shut the fuck up.
No, that's good. That was good by Maisie. Leave it
So you could say, now do you want to ask what team they retired with as opposed to what team they predominantly played for? Or would you want to do predominantly played for?
Unless you're really confident with like, oh yeah, that player spent one fucking random year on the bench of this team.
All right, it's Karl Malone, isn't it? Got it.
Not drafted after.
He was also not drafted after. Yeah, that's right.
I'll go ahead and give you that for free.
Well, so
seeing as he was the MVP in '98, he was not drafted after '99.
Yeah, teams are in the Pacific. So we have four really for the most part. What we're thinking, four teams.
It's California and the Suns.
Yeah,
that's it.
Well, but you were talking about Seattle, possibly.
They would also count in this realm because of that.
Yeah.
So would Portland, because when there was only two,
the
Pacific Division had 7 or 8 teams in it or whatever it was.
So
anyone along the line
why don't we
just
do the most likely again then and like say LA? Did they play for the Lakers, not LA? Or I mean we could say either, but
do you want to Chris, when we ask primarily, you're talking like if a player played 15 years in the league and we say primarily and 8 was in the West and 7 was in the East, you say they primarily played in the West because it's 8 is higher than 7, right?
Yep.
Okay. So if we say, did they primarily play for the Lakers, played in the league for 10 years, they would have had to have played, well, fuck, if it was 5 and 5 for 2 teams, we would really fuck you over with that question, basically. But
or yourselves.
Yes, ourselves, because the answer would be no, it could be 5 and 5.
Let's
and the tie would go
let's do Lakers. We have some room to play with.
Because in my head, primarily is not majority.
I agree with that. I believe you're ruling that correctly.
So just so you're clear on when you ask those type of questions, which I think are the right way to go about it. That's why we introduced him in the first place.
Yes. But
so were
I'm
they
just trying to
primarily
caution
a Los Angeles Laker?
Yeah.
Yes, primarily a Laker.
I'm in the wrong window because I amplified Maisie's chat. There we go. Primarily for the Lakers. No.
Okay.
Do you want to do Suns?
Yeah.
Did they primarily play for the Suns?
Primarily for the Suns.
Primarily Sun.
No.
You getting sad yet?
No. Golden State?
Sure.
It's another 50-50,
Yes.
at least we think.
Lock it in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Primarily for the Warriors? No.
Uh-oh.
God. Best of all, we go take a question and be for sure on the Clippers, or we're going to have to, I think.
Well, you literally have 3 more teams you have to ask about no matter what. You have to ask about
So
Portland. You have to ask about Seattle.
Most likely, then.
And you gotta go. You should do Clippers first, and then
Let's go.
Kings.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So
Clippers and Kings.
Clippers, Chris,
yes,
please.
primarily for the Clippers.
Primarily for
Gonna
the
keep
Clippers.
doing this, and we're gonna screw ourselves over.
No.
Okay. All right. Well, we see the flaw with this approach.
I tried to warn you.
Oh no,
Kings.
not necessarily. Sacramento would be the last one. Yeah.
Yes, primarily for the Kings,
Okay.
and yes, we'll ask this as well. And then it'd be very funny if the answer is no.
Primarily for the Kings. Yes.
Okay.
Relief.
That's relief. Yes.
Okay. Did they
So we didn't go about it the wrong way. We just
pick the wrong team 4 times?
yeah.
Were they primarily a front court player?
I actually would have asked about the Kings had I remembered them before the Clippers because I think they're the more
Primarily
prominent team.
front court player? No.
Okay, so in the backcourt for the Kings, they retired. This could be
Are
a
they
lot of people.
Are they now the head coach of the Sacramento State Hornets?
So drafted after 1999, medium, So they're going to be a person that I recognize, hopefully. There's a couple, though, that it could be. And it's funny because the ethnicity question could...
It's tricky. I'm not going to use the ethnicity question because it doesn't actually do things correctly this time.
Yeah, it doesn't. So let's do oh God.
The Kings are one of those franchises that have loved their white players, which is what's even more confusing that they were like, Luka.
So,
right.
Cody, do you want me to tell you some idea? I don't like to share the ideas yet because I don't want to get you thinking doing the Silence of the Lambs problem, the criminal profiling.
What the fuck are you saying?
So
he doesn't want to lead the witness.
In the years since Silence of the Lambs, we were like, yeah, it's a good movie, but it's completely like horseshit because that's not how you do criminal investigations. All that is profiling, and they say it's like the number one thing don't do when you're doing a crime because you just find evidence that supports the leads you've already made in your head.
Yes,
and it's crazy. So, with that said, I don't want to tell you who I'm thinking about. You tell me who you're thinking about.
Well, Mike Bibby makes a lot of sense. He is the current head coach of the Sacramento State Hornets.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know
that's
that,
but that was the first... the joke I was making. I realized that probably isn't news everyone knows.
Yeah.
I have a feeling I know. Do you also have a different player in mind?
Yeah, the best player to maybe ever play the game.
I believe I was curious if this was leading into the player that I think you guys have jokingly mentioned Sean loved.
Yes. And not Joe. I really did love him. It's a little bit of hyperbole that he was the best player.
A little bit.
A little bit?
It's like a slight hyperbole.
Yeah.
So it's like one of those two, most likely. What are some other prominent guards on the Kings? Because they're retired, right? So
yes, they have to be retired and not currently playing.
If it's not either of them, we're in trouble.
You're in trouble. Yes, that's what I was going to say. So you should just...
Should we just guess those two?
Yes,
and
you
then
should just guess
we're
those.
Fucked otherwise.
Chris doesn't play it to where we lose if we guess it and are wrong.
I think
correct.
I think Jason
the wrong
Williams
question.
Is...
I feel like Jason Williams is such an easy setup for you to be playing this game.
So you think it? So I think we should go with him,
yes,
and then Mike.
I think
Bibby.
you should ask.
Okay,
that.
is it Jason Williams?
Is this Jason Williams? No.
Is it Mike Bibby?
Is this Mike
because
Bibby?
We're fucked if it's not.
No.
Then we're fucked.
Are Cody and Sean completely fucked? Yes.
Are Cody...
I can't even tell you another guard on the Sacramento. Let's go. So the teams that mattered for Sacramento, the big when they were playing against the Lakers.
It's the Lakers series, yeah.
So it's a backcourt. That would be Bibby. And then you have Divac, you have Weber.
Was Hedo Turkoglu technically a backcourt player?
I will tell you, Hedo Turkoglu primarily played forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
That honestly, I did not know if he was a 2.
He started as a 3 and eventually shifted to a 4.
Yeah, I knew he was a stretch 4 later on. I honestly did not know if he was like ever a 2.
Yeah.
Ever, but certainly not primarily.
Because Peja and Hedo are the two.
Peja's
also a forward.
Well, I think he was was he a forward, Chris? Peja Stojakovic?
I would have to look.
I mean,
which might be spoiling the fact that I don't have him pulled up right now.
Yeah.
But
that's okay.
I believe he was a forward.
Yeah, he was.
You've already named like 2 people that I forgot about. Although Peja was like, oh yeah.
I do know that team because I was a Lakers fan.
He's listed as a small forward his entire career.
Yeah, so I was that's what I thought. He and Hedo actually were redundant upon each other.
I'm sure he played some guard in some lineups, but he's a 3.
So Sacramento retired.
I think there's a name that I'm forgetting that was a rotational guy, but I'm surprised that Chris would be fucking with us with a rotational guy for medium for the Kings, but he also did say he was going to make it harder.
Yeah. I mean, who was the 2 on that started? Was it Stojakovic? Then no, he just said small forward. Who was the 2 that started on these teams when they were playing the
Kevin
Lakers?
Martin?
Yes. Yeah, right?
I don't believe that's not the Lakers' time. It's just another guard I came up with. See, I'm also concerned that Kevin Martin also played some 3, but I thought he was primarily a 2. And Chris should not keep answering these things for us because he's giving us hints that we should not be getting. I'm blanking on who the 2 was during the Lakers series, which is really bad given I should remember that.
They took you to 7 games.
I was 11.
Well, it doesn't matter.
Or 10. I don't know. I was happy we were winning while cheating with the referee, so it's great.
Do you want to talk about? Do you want to guess Kevin Martin? Do we have another guess? That's the thing. It's like we're guessing. It seems irresponsible, but like I only know so many names.
I really
on
only
this
say.
team.
Also, what are we going to do with the rest? What are you going to narrow down with the rest of these? You should just throw names now.
Right.
If
Kevin
we're allowed
Martin.
to.
Kevin Martin,
Yeah.
Chris.
That's his name, right?
I think
Yeah.
so. There's
That's
a
the guy.
Kenyon
You're
Martin,
thinking
too.
of the right guy. It's not him.
He was a guard, though, right?
Yeah, it definitely.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure he was a
guard.
2.
He
Played
was
the
good
2.
for like 3 seconds.
Yeah, he had like 2 20-plus point per game seasons and then like disappeared. I mean, he had a couple of good years for the Rockets too.
If Dave,
but-
when Dave listens to this, he's gonna pull his fucking hair out.
By the way, Kevin Martin is a player I have banked for the PER thing of really good, really briefly, and I don't believe he was in the league that long, so I'm curious what his PER was. It's actually a name I had banked for the PER game.
I think you guys can pull all sorts of names from the past that are basically Jamal Crawford types that like scored and didn't do
Nothing
a whole
else?
lot else.
Yeah. And he's one of them.
What about No, there was a guy on the Kings
That's who we're looking for.
who was good for 3 seconds. Okay, Ben Gordon is the name that's coming to my head. He was in Chicago though, but I thought he played on the Kings a little bit too. But anyways, that's just a name that I banked. There's another guy who was like really good. He was like a banger, but he was a point guard. And he like led this crazy comeback one time when they were not very good.
I have no idea. I gave you a name. I gave you Kevin Martin. What more do you want from me?
No, hold on. God, I could get this name eventually.
Well,
he's a point guard, but he kind of sucks. But he was okay for a little bit. He was like he didn't have a shot. He was only inside all the time.
I used to fucking know this dumb team pretty well, and I don't.
I know. I bet you this is who it was too. I'm gonna look up. Can I
Cheater.
look up the name of the guy, or is that now cheating?
It's cheating.
I have a guy in my head. I just can't recall his name.
You're cheating.
I don't mind it. I'm not sure if that's gonna be enough to go on to find him. I guess if you can find that game or something, maybe.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think. Is like it was like they came back by like 40 points down. It was one of the greatest comebacks in history, and it was by this shitty Kings team. And now I forgot. There's 3 names in my head.
Ask Siri to name you a shitty Kings guard.
I'm gonna try to here. I'm gonna show. Cody
AI's
my
not cheating.
screen.
It's fine.
Kings.
I'm on your team. I want.
40
Why wouldn't I want you to
point
cheat?
Comeback.
Oh, is that who I think it is? Let me see if I'm right on who I think this is.
You created the player.
It was like 40.
Oh, you mean who Sean thinks it is?
Right.
Got it.
I'm trying to see if I can match because I don't have a 40-point comeback on Basketball Reference. I mean, I guess if I went into the game logs season by season.
This was 2009. Yeah. Okay, see, we're getting there. Now show me the box score. It's the Chicago Bulls.
Such a cheater.
Oh, it's right.
You're such a cheater.
Why do you give me the fucking box score of this game? They're just giving me the fucking.
Sean's such a cheater.
Okay.
Disappointing.
Hold on. No, I'm getting there. Look, it's probably not a good sign because, like, let me look up and try to see if I can find who Sean is
It's
thinking
a game
about.
in 2009,
I think it's 2009.
and he led them on a big comeback.
Okay. If it's not this guy, we're really fucked. Is
Okay.
it Tyreek Evans was the guy.
That would be the other shitty guard I was thinking of, and I could not place
That
his
was
name.
who I had pulled up to check the game logs on.
Yes,
Okay.
Tyreek.
So
this
is
Tyreek
all-
the Freak.
This is bad signs, but
You're asking if it's Tyreek Evans?
yeah, because we have no Kings guards.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you pulled him because I looked him up thinking, but no, it is not Tyreek Evans. With 6 questions left, I'm going to tell you at the very least you are going about this the wrong way. Well, not that your approach is wrong, but that it's not going to work for this player.
Well, because we can't name a fucking guy.
Right. Like you're thinking a lot about like the 2000s Kings, and you asked if they were drafted after 99. That leaves a lot of other years with Kings guards.
No.
Oh, I know.
Trust me, we know.
Oh, I know.
We can't
I know.
think of anyone like
This is more difficult, even for medium. However, you know this player 100%.
because I'm thinking like I can't tell you like a Kings in the last like.
See, I mean, I paid such little attention to the NBA for the past like 8 years or so that I'm in a tougher position.
Because it's not.
Because Tyreek Evans is the range of the last somewhat player I paid attention to type of.
Who do they even have? Like before Darren Fox, who's on the Kings? I have no clue.
It's a great question.
Other than DeMarcus Cousins, it was like Cousins, and then the gap, and then Darren Fox.
Because I'm rooting for you guys, I'm going to give you one hint.
No.
And then let you fend for yourselves
Well,
the
he
last
has
6
to give us a
questions.
hint, or the whole fucking segment's dead.
Primarily for the Kings, yes, is 3 seasons.
Oh, fuck.
That's the place he played the most in his career.
Well, okay, what do you think then?
Oh, I have no fucking clue. I'm saying, I was like, that was what I was concerned. When we use this as our scheme of asking questions, I was worried we would run into the nomad player who bounces around because he's a hired gun and all that. Are any of those shitty guards who scored a bunch of times, like all the mediocre dudes who've been through and were on your team off and on, like, fuck, I'm just pulling random names like Eric Bledsoe and Brandon Knight, all those type of shitty guards.
Yeah.
Were any of those guys Kings at any point? Just that mill of mediocre fucking guys who were
I think we got to find their other team. Like primarily for the Kings, fine, but like, and they're.
See, I'm assuming they were drafted by the Kings because they played 3 years there. Or did they play somewhere for 2 years?
Right. That's what.
And then move to the Kings at some point after that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
I have a feeling it's going to be a version of a player like the guys I named that were, I'm not going to remember that, like, I mean, like Sean Livingston's a bad example because he was mostly in Golden State. But again, players like that.
Yeah. Okay, so then what do we do? Do we try to find the other team?
Yeah, you either try to find the team or
With
you
6 questions left.
Yeah, or you try to find. Is it not going to help you to find out when they retired by? Like to Chris's point
not
of
really.
If he said if he's hinting that they were drafted into the mid-20s, 2010s, then they've retired by now, and they only spent 3 years with the Kings. This guy's career has to be under like 10 years. Is my guess, or thereabouts.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to do.
You're the one who knows basketball. I don't know shit.
I again, like, so they played for the Kings, and we know they're primarily in the West. We could try to get to the second team in 6 questions. We might as well, right? I mean, it's either that or we take the L for this one. We lose all our questions, and that's fine.
Yeah, but if we don't answer in the 6 questions, even if we finish under 45, we've already lost this game, right?
Well,
that's how this works.
No, because we're 27. We'd have 13 questions to get that last one?
Yeah, but you have to get all 3 right.
You have to get them all right. There's 2 rules.
Oh.
And then it's within a certain threshold.
That makes sense.
Yeah, if we fail now, we failed.
And we'll do the 3rd one for fun, but...
Yeah, I mean, and it starts being like this week, you only got 2. You know what I mean? I think we should try to find the second team.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have, I don't even know. I don't know.
You could ask, do you want to ask, I mean, again, this is probably a better question a while ago, were they a lottery pick? Shit like that. I don't know if that's going to help you.
It won't, but their quality would help. Like, were they an all-star?
Okay. And then you just make the assumption if they were on the Kings at some point?
I'm just debating all-star. Like, again, if I don't know the secondary team, it still, doesn't really help.
It's not going to help you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we should go, was their secondary team the Lakers or whatever? I don't think we can go unless we say it was their secondary team, primarily in the Pacific. That could have been, it could still be the Lakers.
Yes.
Do you want to start by saying, was their secondary team in the Pacific, or was it just throwing out teams?
I mean, you only have 6 spots, and so you have 14 other Western Conference teams from, 15.
So we have to go conference. Or division.
You basically have to try and go by division.
What's their secondary team, Chris, in the Pacific Division?
Secondary in Pacific? No.
Was their secondary in... We're so fucked.
Do you remember the divisions for the West?
No.
God damn it.
The Northwest, And
Northwest and Southwest. God
there-
damn it!
yeah,
I
that's
hate
right,
that
with the
shit
Spurs
so
and all them.
much.
Yeah.
Oh, do the South. Yeah, the Texas teams.
Were they? Did they play for a Texas team?
Would that be a better question? Did they? Who's in the Southwest?
What do you mean?
You
Wait,
said
what?
the Southwest Division.
Isn't it just all the Texas teams and Oklahoma City?
So we could
Well,
say,
no, it's Memphis, Dallas, Houston. Yeah, it's 3 Texas, New Orleans, and Memphis.
we could try to just say like, did they play in Texas? Give us a shot.
Yes. Did they primarily play for a Texas team?
Yeah, we have to take some gambles. If the answer is no, then
I guess secondary in Texas team.
yeah.
No.
What's the other division?
I mean, you're skipping 2 teams, but
I know we have to. We have to though.
here's the thing.
Yeah, I mean that could be. That could have helped.
Could
with like 15 questions left.
So it
Peter.
could be Peter.
It's a
but
good
then
idea,
again,
Peter.
has to be a yes/no, so that's tough.
Yeah.
Like, where do you start? There could be ways to do it. To be clear, I mean,
The-
you're kind of onto
The
something. But
other division. So the Northwest is Denver, Minnesota, Oklahoma City, Utah, and Portland.
Yeah. Are they in that one? The
Are
Northwest.
they into that? The one?
Are they in the Northwest?
Oh my god.
secondary in the Northwest. Wish I could type. No.
Okay. So what does that mean? They're in Oklahoma City, or what was the last one you said?
Oklahoma City's in that division.
No. You said. Oh, sorry. The 2 teams. In
New Orleans
Okay.
and God damn it.
Peter says, were they ever featured on TMZ? I don't know, but I don't think so. I'm
Sorry.
going to go ahead and give you a freebie here.
It's Grizzlies. Grizzlies or
Primarily in the West doesn't mean secondarily in the West.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was worried about when he was
Jesus
doing this. I was like
Christ.
trying to.
I mean, that was like,
That's what I was worried about.
if they're not primarily in the West, which it sounds like they're not, then we were fucked kind of the moment it started, because we have to go back to East and all this shit.
Well,
and
again,
it's-
primarily West because 3 with the Kings. If they have a 10-year career
yeah.
and they went 3-1-1-2,
No, I know.
1-1-1.
Like, you're right. I'm just saying, like, if we had a shot, it wasn't going to be starting the questions over. So it was
No,
just-
I was just saying. I think that the point we got to with the Kings, we're pretty much screwed at that point.
yeah.
Is what I'm
so
agreeing
was
with
it,
you.
I mean, who just I don't know. Just throw out a fucking name.
Come on, Cody, it's up to you.
I mean, the other guard name I know for the Kings doesn't qualify for this because he's their head coach right now. But he was drafted well before 1999, and that's who I had in mind until I was like, no, that doesn't work because Doug Christie's much older than that. So that was the other Kings player I remembered.
Yeah,
Who I was,
That's who
who I
the
was
2
thinking
was
of-
for the Kings, by
That's
the way.
who I
against
was
the
thinking of
Lakers.
as the 2, yeah.
I remembered that
Okay.
as
Okay.
we were talking, but I was like, why am I going to
is-
throw the name out? It's
What,
irrelevant.
did Isaiah Thomas ever play for the King? He bounced around a lot. Was he ever on the Kings?
Man, I don't fucking know. Probably. He played for
He
everybody.
was like Phoenix and
Does Kemba Walker play for the team? There. Just name all these shitty guards.
I don't think so. Was Isaiah is the player Isaiah Thomas, Gross?
Younger, newer.
Yeah, the young. Yeah.
Is this Isaiah Thomas?
No.
Yeah. So, yeah.
What's amazing is because we did the other one so quick, we those 2 questions are super crucial.
Yeah, you're going to have the max 20 for the last one because that'll be 45 on the dot.
Get the fuck out of here. All right, hold on. I need to go to Isaiah Thomas's career really quick
I
and
don't
just look
even
at these.
fucking.
Great job.
Yep.
Where was that earlier, asshole?
3 seasons for the Kings, 2.5 for the Celtics because he got traded
Yeah,
midseason.
When.
Which,
once
by the
you
way,
said,
he was drafted by the Kings.
Once you said
He was
it
drafted
wasn't
by the Kings.
in
If you had asked
necessarily the
about
West.
if you had asked about draft, he of course went
He's a second-round
60th.
pick.
He was the Mr. what they call it, irrelevant or whatever the last pick is called.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
So Kings, Suns, Celtics, Cavs, Lakers, Nuggets, Wizards, Pelicans, Grand Rapids Gold, Lakers, Dallas Mavericks, Grand Rapids Gold, Charlotte Hornets,
Yeah.
Salt Lake City Stars, Phoenix
that's
Suns, Salt Lake
fucking
Stars.
crazy.
At one point, you had asked about asking if what other teams he played for, and it's like if you had asked if he played for the Lakers, the answer is yes, 15 games.
Yep, that would have caused us some problems.
If who did he retire with? The Suns, I guess, because he played 6 games for us in last year,
That's
end of last season.
fucking believable.
What a rally,
No,
huh?
that just I Okay. All right.
But yeah, that's where I think I'm not even saying this approach was wrong, but because these things can happen on teams, players that don't play for one team, you might look at some of the questions you guys did mention but didn't go with. All-Stars, All-NBA, draft, stuff like that also tells you the caliber of player because, like, Kevin Martin was never an All-Star. Or Jason Williams was never an All-Star.
Right.
Yes,
like,
of course.
Well, you know what, though? Jason Williams was like, the way All-Star games work sometimes, I'm like, could he have made...
Yeah.
I could not 100% tell you that he never was on the cusp of some
I'm going to look
All-Star
because
team.
I can't 100% tell you he didn't.
Yeah.
Because they would have been like, what's the type of person we want in the All-Star game?
Mhm.
And Peter says he did have a controversy, by the way. So that's the problem is the TMZ isn't on Basketball Reference. Now, I can still look some things up, to be fair, but we're trying to avoid going to do that too often.
I didn't know that Isaiah Thomas was a bad person.
Yeah, he's had some controversy. No, Jason Williams was never an All-Star. Second Rookie of the Year in 1999.
Okay.
But that's
All
the
right.
only thing in the awards column for him.
Well,
That makes sense, though, because he only scored more than 12 points a game once.
We only recognize greatness when it's gone,
Okay, that brings us to our last one.
Oh,
you
we're
have
so fucked, Cody.
25, so you have all 20 questions to meet the goal of 45, and you're going to,
I'm
Cody,
right.
trying to
Cody,
see if some of these other random shitty guards. He did play for the Kings.
Cody, we got a miracle on Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
It's not even that hard. So, okay, we gotta go with the first question, which is no. What is the first question? Active. No, conference.
Is he white?
primarily Western Conference?
No, we ask active first for hards and these.
Oh,
ones.
okay, we changed that, right?
Because
Is
the
it
conference
active
is-
player. There's no way.
Is this player active?
No.
I
We
will
should've saved that
occasionally.
But we just have to do it just in case.
We
I'm going to have to throw some hard bench player in hard eventually just to keep it
Yes.
so that's not automatic. But
Okay, I'm
At
glad
least
you
for
said
now,
that
no.
because
I've been because he said he made it harder. That's why I wanted to ask.
Okay.
Him still.
so
I would-
primarily Western Conference.
Yes, if he was in his older version, I wouldn't have bothered to ask that
Yeah.
anymore.
primarily West?
Primarily West.
No.
Primarily the same mistake.
Okay. So great. This is the same fucking thing.
So now you want to do drafted by. I thought that didn't really help us a whole lot, other than it wasn't a disaster. You
Yeah.
need to ask about
yeah,
19...
drafted 1999 after or however you wrote
the same
that,
thing
Chris.
we did last time. Were they
Whatever you
drafted
did last time.
Were they drafted in 2000 or later? Which was were they drafted after 1999?
Yeah. What
just for the
is
sake of
whatever we
fitting.
did last time?
Drafted after 1999? No.
Oh.
And I'll warn
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Okay. So this opens up a whole fucking problem can of worms. East before 1999. That really is hard. I'm gonna know.
I know 7 players from the
Yeah,
East before.
that's what I'm saying. So hard is gonna,
Michael Jordan.
Yeah, I think on hard it's definitely gonna be Michael Jordan.
Was this player in Space Jam?
I like the idea of making it like so easy that you have to second guess it because it can't be Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
It's
yeah,
hard.
yeah. Could it? Okay. So how do we narrow down the time frame a little bit more? What's a realistic way to like? Should we do? Was it?
Do you want to just ask drafted by again by like 1979? Is that going to help you? How many basketball players? But we did before. Did they play post merger? But like that line is like 70, whatever the fuck it was. You tell us every time when we do the game, and I forget.
Do you want to say? Did they retire by? Did they retire by 1999? Go opposite.
There could just be a giant gap of space in that line. Did they retire by 1999?
Wait, what do you
No.
mean? There's not a giant space. Oh, I see what you're saying.
If the answer is no, that they didn't retire. Well, they did. Well, yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
yeah, I get what you're saying
But-
though. Like if they were drafted, well, no, because drafted after 1999.
But
Oh, but they're drafted 19. Yeah,
you guys
it gets
retired in
tricky.
1999, and the answer is no, or sorry, before 1999. They could have they were they could have been drafted in whatever year and then played over 99.
Yeah. So what if we said like drafted by 1990 then?
Yes, that's
And we
a
just
better,
keep going decade
I would
by decade.
I would
and
decade it back.
By the time
like
we get
that.
to the 50s, we'll have 5 questions left. And
Yes,
So let's just say, I mean, it's, but
sure.
sure.
that is
Yeah.
Drafted
correct.
in the 1990s. Yes.
Oh, big deal.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to make
Hey,
these so hard that I'm
so
going to go
that
start
means-
pulling.
They were drafted
Yeah.
because entered the league in the 90s versus
I
drafted in the
think
90s.
He would probably tell us that though.
No, I would hope he would say no, and he would say, get fucked. They were never
I don't
drafted.
think-
Trick question.
I think he's considering drafting being entered the league.
No, we need to phrase it as
Okay.
entered the league.
All right.
Because that would be a handy clue if I told you they were undrafted.
Yes.
Not a lot of undrafted players have been significant, but there's a few.
Exactly.
Let's yeah. So
Or they drafted in the first round.
Okay.
During the 1990s.
yeah, because I know all about drafts and then I say which rounds, who
Okay.
went where.
Mhm.
So that's good. Now
Okay.
you have a 10-year span when you know they entered the league.
Great. How about backcourt, frontcourt?
Okay, good idea. Yeah, sure.
I mean,
primarily
it's a little bit of a good idea.
I wasn't even being smart ass.
backcourt, frontcourt doesn't really matter. It's the same coin flip, right? So we'll say primarily frontcourt. Yes.
Okay, let's try to do divisions still for the most part.
I hate you if you try to do divisions right now.
Why?
Because there was only 4 back then. It narrows it down across 8 teams. It doesn't get you down to 5 like what present day. It doesn't do you any good.
Well,
On
it
the
still
flip-
does some good.
On the flip side, and again, I don't like to try and steer you guys in certain directions, but it does cut it in half.
Yeah, like that's what
I
I'm
guess
saying.
that's fine.
Kinda
Yeah,
like
are you
what-
kidding?
All right, Sean, name the divisions from the 1990s from the NBA.
You can look at the standings
Fuck
for that
you.
year, and
I'm going to
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
Do the standing. Do
You know,
do the division.
It's like East-West. It's just cutting it in further half.
yeah.
It's fine. Fine. I'm going to the 1992-93 season.
Okay.
It is East. It is Atlantic and Central.
Central, yeah.
Okay. So did they play? Wait, where's Boston?
Just, I was going to say, please God, do the Atlantic Division because I hope it's there. That's the Knicks, Celtics, Nets, Magic, Heat, Sixers, and Bullets.
Wait, say that again. Nets, Sixers.
Knicks, Celtics,
Oh, yeah,
Nets,
do that one, do that one,
Magic,
do that one.
Heat,
That one's great.
76ers, and Bullets.
That's great. Washington.
So that one's
These
which one?
divisions make no fucking... Anyway, I need to move on. That's going to piss me off. Primarily in the Atlantic Division of the 90s.
I'm just gonna pull it up so I see the list myself, so I don't want to fuck anything up.
You
We're
should...
gonna be in trouble. By the way,
Uh-huh.
we're gonna be in big trouble.
Primarily in the Atlantic Division. No.
Okay. So what team were they on? Either.
Is that the question you're asking, Chris? What team were they on?
Well, I can tell you what's in the Central if that's what you're looking to
No,
fill.
well,
It is
that was
Bull-
asking good.
It is Bulls, Cavaliers,
'Kay.
Hornets, Hawks, Pacers, Pistons, and Bucks.
Okay.
So if you wanted to ask if they had won a title, there's only 2 franchises in there that had won a title. It would be the Pistons and the Bulls.
Yeah,
and
but
that
it
would
depends.
have that have even happened during the Bulls? Yes, but
so did this player win a title? That gets
I mean, does it even worth that? I don't think about you just talked about like, do you want
it
to
can
ask
get even
those?
trickier. Like
Yes, that's true.
so they were in the front court. So they're like some kind, especially back then. They're a center or a forward. They're not like some like crazy.
No, it's just a big
like
it's a big tall,
stupid guy. Yeah.
a big stupid. Specifically, he was stupid. Yes.
We realized we had too many front court players in the past. We had at least 2 guards so far, but this is some kind of big dude.
I will just say, for what it's worth, Dave, I believe, taught me because he rattled off all the champions. The Pistons were the champion in 1990,
Yeah.
which means if they were drafted in the 90s, they more likely wouldn't have won a title with the Pistons because it was only 89 and 90, I think, is when they won.
Yeah.
those
So
two.
then it's Bulls.
So the Bulls won how many of the titles in the fucking 90s?
in the East.
Yes, they could have done that. It just, I guess technically the Pistons won the title in whatever fucking 03. So if they were drafted in the late 90s, the Pistons would have won the title, and the divisions also start to change then.
Yeah.
Because it drafted in the 1990, if it drafted in 99, which is the funny point of where it could have been possible here.
Well, so we think we have how many teams did you do? 8 now? 8 teams in the Atlantic, or I'm sorry, the not Atlantic,
The Central.
Central.
Yes, the Central.
8 teams in the Central.
7.
7. So that's a lot. That would if we do that badly, that's 7 questions.
Yeah, there's 17. There's 28 total.
Yes.
Because
Bulls-
it's pre-expansion, 7 teams. in each.
Bulls, Cavs, Hornets, Hawks, Pacers, Pistons, Bucks.
Well, why don't we say the teams that like? I don't know what that means, Doug. Yeah,
25%
I
play.
agree with you for what that's worth.
Chris, did they primarily play for a team whose mascot starts with B? That gets me Bucks and Bulls. I'm fucking kidding. Don't do that.
I mean, that's not terrible, actually, because
I believe that's what he was going for with quartering it. That
could be
I can package teams together. Like, does their mascot fly? Hornets and Hawks. Like shit like that is ways I can technically pattern this together.
Okay. Yeah. So what's on this Venn diagram of what about like colors? I would like to see if they're on the Bulls. That's my big thing. Go ahead. But no. But what's a way to get the Bulls and like another team in there?
But if you want to know if they were on the Bulls and the answer is yes to the Bulls-Bucks joke question, you narrowed it down to those two. So do you want to actually merge those together?
Well, I would love to find like a way to do like 3 or even 4.
Is the city name of the team they predominantly played for start with a C? That gets you Cleveland, Charlotte, and Chicago.
Great.
Okay.
Is that the horse shit you want me to play?
Yeah, I don't think we need to worry about Charlotte. I hope, because then we're really fucked. But that's
how fucked are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. As in starting city name.
Well, it would be primarily Central. Is
the Central,
a C team, a C city named team in the Central?
Right.
I almost.
Also, couldn't we just say did they primarily play for 3 different teams and not get creative with this dumb shit I'm doing?
Well, sure, but this is more fun.
Is this more fun?
It's also easier to fit than trying to type 3 team names in there.
That's true. But the intention of this is, were they Chicago, Cleveland, or Charlotte primarily?
Yeah, but is there a C team that's not in Central?
In Central. That's what he wrote. Is it a C team
but
in
is there
Central?
a C team not in Central? Because the in Central is like a potentially limiting thing if we get to crazy town of the divisions.
New York, Boston, New Jersey, Orlando, Miami, Philly, and Washington are the Eastern Conference teams.
Great. So, yes, I like this question, Chris. Let's go with it.
No.
Okay. So
he was so ready.
But we just
say no.
So we eliminated 3 teams.
Yes, because of the creative.
So now what do we have?
Down to 4.
4. And who are the 4, Cody? Philly?
Atlanta,
Philly,
Indiana, Detroit, and Milwaukee.
No Philly.
Why do I keep saying Philly?
I don't know.
I don't know.
What about
I've read these team names so
Detroit.
many times, and you're making me angry.
So Detroit? Okay, read them again. Sorry.
Hawks, Pacers,
okay,
Pistons,
okay,
Bucks.
Hawks, Pacers, Pistons, Bucks.
Those are the 4 teams in the Central in 1993.
So
I'm so concerned that the division's going to be a trick question.
I know.
I'm so scared.
So how many teams? That's only 4 teams, though.
That was that year, yes.
Yeah, why don't we just go down the line? Why don't we go most likely to least likely now?
Yet there were so many teams in the Central.
Unless you want to say like the Pistons. They're okay. Is their mascot a land fucking... Wait, what is the...
Oh, motherfucker.
What?
Well, I'm cheating now because I'm encouraged to cheat.
Chris, like, I don't know if I
don't know about that.
My concern is the teams I read off, there is one team excluded that would have been a Central team at one point.
Who is it?
The goddamn Toronto Raptors entered the league in 95 and then departed the Central Division in the mid-2000s. Never mind. I don't even want to get into the weirdness of the New Orleans Hornets, but we're just going to move past that one.
So
because Charlotte and New Orleans is the same friend.
Aren't the Pistons? Isn't there? I'm thinking the Mavericks. What's the Pistons? Is it like literally like the fucking car piece?
Yeah.
Or is it like the horse?
Where are you going?
Yeah, like a piston. That's like a horse.
Where are you going with this?
I'm trying to group like the mascots together.
Then just say, were they a Piston or a Pacer? Were they a team? Were they a mascot with the P letter?
Oh, were they a Piston or a Pacer? Okay, that's well, yeah, but I want to actually
I just said how to do it.
Okay, fine. Were they a Piston or a Pacer?
No, did they play for a team with the mascot that started with P?
Okay.
Were they a P player?
Yeah. Did they play P?
For a P team.
Did they P? Were they?
Did they play primarily for a P?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
There you go. Now they're a Pacer or a Piston. Carry on.
Okay. Well, so now I got 50-50. So let's say.
Do you want to narrow it down with one more question and just know which team?
Yeah.
Just do that.
Did they play for Indiana?
The Pacers.
Wrong window.
The Indiana. Did they primarily play
Did
Yeah.
they
Indiana
primarily?
Yeah, Indiana Pacers. That's what I said.
Primarily- Yes.
Indy. Okay.
But they played 6 seasons for them and 6 seasons for another team.
Great.
I love that
Excellent.
we managed to run into that.
So you
Excellent.
Right
kind of
after
get
I
extra
passed.
info out of that, but you kind of don't.
So
It would have
So
been so great if you
it's-
said no, and then we assumed it was the other team, and we just fucking lost. Because of it.
It's a tie, but yes.
okay. So Indiana guard that was drafted in the 90s.
Indiana forward.
Oh, forward, right. Sorry. I don't know.
I don't
I
fucking
can't
know
even
either.
name a single I don't know Indiana.
Do you want to ask if what color skin they were now?
No, it's not going to help me.
Well, it'll make you think of names. Maybe.
Unless the answer is what I think it is, and then it doesn't help me at
I
all.
wish Dave was like not 3 hours ahead, because I'd be like, call him in for this one. Maybe he'll help.
Yeah.
But
Look, I
Probably
named the
sleeping.
only
He's probably- he's
I named the
asleep.
only Pacers player I had any idea of who the fuck they were when we got Reggie Miller.
Yeah, right. So you have
And
Reggie
and
Miller,
again, he wasn't a front court player, and he wasn't drafted then, and it doesn't matter.
and then you have
Famous Pacers. No, that was 2000s. I started
Well, but
thinking
it
of
could be. It could. Wait, who? Paul George? Yeah, he wasn't drafted in the 90s.
Danny,
yeah, I mean,
Danny
you're-
Granger is who I was going to, but he's also not drafted in the 90s.
no,
I'm thinking of players from the 2000s because I
know.
I can't go back this far. I don't know anything. What do you want from me? Do you
yeah.
want to ask when they retired by, so you could see maybe how when they would have played, and you might have known who the fuck they were?
Were they an All-Star?
Sure. The answer's gonna be no.
were they an all-star? Whoa.
Whoa, yes,
Okay, so they're an
Yes.
All-Star.
an
That
all-star,
still doesn't really help me
half-career
that
front
much, but
court
at
pacer.
least-
Yeah, I didn't go like super obscure. It may still be really hard, but
I mean, I literally can't name any.
I mean, so they 1990. They were probably retired. God, back then by.
But they could have been drafted in 1999.
No, I'm not worried about I'm not worried about the
Yeah.
drafted part. Oh, I see what you. Yeah. So, do you want to say were they retired by 2000 and?
That's what I said 2 questions ago.
No,
Yes.
I'm saying. I'm being like, okay, so
Yes,
if you wanted to
I-
go like 2005, just because if it's
To middle
2000,
it. Yes,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
trying to middle it because that would be a 15-year career from 1990 on.
yeah.
I think it's probably the right call.
I'm not gonna like the answer to this question though, because if the answer is yes that they've retired, then I'm like I have no clue.
You don't know if
So, Chris, Dad, they retired by 2005.
did they retire by 2005? No.
Okay,
they're more modern then.
that was when I was somewhat watching basketball.
That would be cool.
Should we say 2010?
I mean, you should just keep asking that question. It's the only way you're going to narrow down an
Chris,
idea.
2010.
They just might not have been a pacer at that point. They might not have.
yeah.
Did you want to ask if they retired as a pacer or
Maybe
started as a pacer?
Let's go 2010 and then we'll
2010, lock it in?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So they retired in this 5-year gap where I was watching basketball. This would have been before, well, again, if they were even a pacer still.
So do you want to ask if they retired as a pacer, or Chris gave us a hint that we didn't deserve of they spent 6 years as a pacer and 6 years with another entire team. So there's career split equally.
Yeah.
So basically, like, yes, if they retired as a pacer, then you know that they ended their career as a pacer, and then that might be a little easier. But otherwise, they're going to retire with somebody you don't know who it was, but they would have been with that team for 6 years, leading to their retirement.
Well, and then my question is, should we just, we're probably going way too long on this. Should we try to find the other team?
You're right.
Then you have to start over with primarily Eastern or Western again, and you have to go through all of that. Is that what you want to do?
Probably get it in early now, right? We have
Alright.
8 questions. We know some stuff. It's not like totally starting over. So they retired between 2005 and 2010.
Yes.
They were drafted in the 90s.
And they made an all-star game.
Well, it doesn't mean it's a long career actually at all. It could have been a really short career actually, depending on when in the 90s.
But because of my hint, you do know it was at least a 12-year career.
Yes. And it could have been more because they could have played 1 year here and there.
Yeah, right.
So I guess actually the answer is that they could have retired for a team who wasn't either of the teams they played for 6 years for. Because Chris's point, I mean, that's a good point. Because he said the 2 teams he played with the longest were 2 6-year teams.
Yeah.
Do you want to ask if they were an all-star as a Pacer? Will that help you at all? Or then it would still be a mystery team and it wouldn't help you at all?
I don't know if it'll help me. Like, I don't even know if I can tell how many All-Stars the Pacers had. Like, the huge, partially because they're the East, so we only played them twice a year anyway. And I don't think they were very good during this time.
But they're front court.
But they had an
All-Star.
All-Star.
90s.
So.
I'm trying to... Oh. Wait a minute. What about Jermaine O'Neal? How many years did he play for the? Because he's an all-star caliber front court player, and I think he would have been drafted in around the 90s, right? But then, when did he retire? I actually don't remember when he retired.
He was like on some. I don't think he was ever on the Suns, but he was on some other team that was notable. But like he sucked by then.
He was a Sun.
He was a Sun. He was bad.
He was bad.
I don't think he retired. I think he played into like the mid 2010s though. Sorry, I'm just distracting you with that idea, and I don't think that's the right answer. It probably because I just realized I think he played longer than that.
I don't think he was on the Suns for 6 years. There's no way he was on the Suns for 6 years.
Also, does Ron Artest qualify for all this shit?
I thought no, because he was not retired by 2010.
He wasn't either. Oh no, yeah, I knew that. You're right.
I wish he was.
What?
Yeah,
we sure wish he was.
Yes, I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, I actually.
We'd probably win that title if he wasn't on that team.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because I thought about Ron Artest. I thought about Jermaine O'Neal, both of the Brawl boys. I wish I knew anybody else in that Brawl because I would have been like, were they in the Brawl at the whatever?
Malice at the Palace.
Malice at the Palace, yeah.
The only other front court guy, but I don't think he was an all-star, was the big stupid white guy, because you mentioned that. Miller. I don't remember his first name.
The big stupid
white guy. His last name was Miller. He was a center. I think he played for the Pacers, but I don't know if he played for the Pacers for 6 years.
I don't know. Big stupid.
I'm giving you names, and you don't know anything.
I think the player you're thinking of is Rick Smits.
No, I'm thinking his last name is absolutely Miller. Also, apparently the player's not Rick Smits then, because you wouldn't have given us a name.
Right. So that must be Brad Miller then?
Yes, it's Brad Miller. I don't think Brad Miller was ever an all. You know what? Actually, Brad Miller might have been an all-star.
Brad Miller? I hope to God he was not an all-star.
I think he might have been an all-star. He's not going to be. This is not going to be him. I don't believe. He also played for a lot of different teams.
The problem is I don't know Jermaine O'Neal's like secondary team, like 6 and 6. I don't know who that would be.
He did not retire by 2010. There's no way.
Okay.
The more you're pointing out that he played for the Suns, he has to have played for the Suns in a realm in which I would have given a shit, which means I would have had to have almost been living here by then.
So let's find the secondary team. Let's just start it because we got to finish this at some point. So,
no, we don't. We can just ask. We can answer forever.
Okay, so Chris, let's do secondary team primarily Eastern, which is the same as saying primarily Western.
Secondary
but
in
it's
the East?
Different.
Fuck.
Yee.
Fine.
Okay, so it was in the East.
It is in the East, yes.
Now,
that's what I'm getting towards.
We still don't, because we don't know if it's before or after.
No, we don't.
Do you want to ask about the retired question? Because that will tell us at least.
Who did they retire with?
Who did they retire with?
My problem is, to Chris's point, it's not a 1-for-1 anymore. It's a 1-to-1 of 6 years to maybe they played 3 years for 3 different teams. I actually don't think it's as effective. If we knew this player only played for 2 teams, and it was, did they retire as a Pacer? No, then it's obviously the other team they played 6 years for. But I'm worried if they played like here, and here, it's not going to help us.
No, but we know it's. Oh, I was going to say I thought we knew it was 6 and 6 because he said it was even.
He did, as the 2 most primarily played with teams.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that they wouldn't have played 1 year.
They could have retired going to some other team for 1 year.
He said primarily doesn't mean majority when we first started the day.
Yeah.
Or this whole round of stuff. And so I've taken that.
So what if we do then just so secondary, we have to go division again. Right?
Yes.
He's sad.
So
And also, by the time they retired, by the 2010, the divisions were different.
unless he's on the no, if it's 6 and 6,
I believe.
But it could be did we ever find out we don't know what their division was necessarily. Like if we said primary Atlantic and it was yes, then that can tell us some things. But we don't know, so we don't even know which is which now.
No, we don't.
No,
because this player is playing through. The thing I was worried about is when the divisions and teams added and got changed.
Yeah.
Because the 90s into the early 2010s, we have a lot of team movement, unfortunately, with divisions and expansion of a couple of franchises and stuff.
So the secondary team, what's a division that only exists now and didn't exist back then?
The Southeast.
Southeast. Why don't we say, did they play in the Southeast? And if it's yes, that's great.
If it's yes.
If it's no, it kind of doesn't tell us very much, does it? In a way.
No. That's what I'm worried about.
Why don't we do it?
All right, go ahead.
All right, Southeast. Secondary Southeast.
No.
Okay,
He was so
great. That
excited
doesn't
to
tell us
say
a
no.
lot.
He was so
Well,
excited to
what's
say
the
no.
other one? Southeast. Oh, there's just a third division added. So we
Central. That was the third. That was the one that didn't exist in the East.
So
now, did they secondarily play in the Atlantic, or are you going to have a fucking repeat of the Central? And the other team would have been, did
Let's
they
try
play
it.
for a P
Let's
mascot?
go secondary
and it'll be a
Atlantic.
fucking Pistons player.
Secondary Atlantic.
He doesn't want us to do this.
It doesn't matter. We have 5 questions left.
Oh.
Yes.
Hey, okay.
No, it's not that I don't want you to do it. It's that for the cost of one question, I'm going to tell you that the secondary team is the Raptors. So, yes, but as Cody said, they moved between the Atlantic and the Central, so it's weird.
Okay. So
I'm giving you a team for the price of one question because I don't know if you guys are going to get this. I think it is gettable. I think you'd have to pull it from an even darker place than Isaiah Thomas. I think this is one that Dave would have had the best chance of knowing.
But what pisses me off so very badly is that didn't Jermaine O'Neal play for the goddamn Raptors?
did he?
Yes, but he fucking had to have retired after 2010.
Okay, then we don't have to worry about him.
I know, but he's pissing me off because he keeps spinning shit.
By the way, it doesn't work for the Raptors part of it, but Brad Miller was an all-star for the Pacers.
Oh.
He was actually a 2-time all-star.
Wow.
God damn it.
Wow. Okay.
So you have good pulls. Unfortunately, they're not this player.
So Raptors in between 2005 and 2010. I don't know if I can tell you a single goddamn fucking thing about this team.
Okay, this actually might narrow it down for me.
Okay.
All right, since he's not going to let it happen, I need to know. I'm asking the race question. I have to because it's going to help me. Is that okay?
But if you say,
I genuinely am serious. I think it's going to help me.
well, but let me just ask if it helps you in the sense that it narrows it down by how many people. Like if there's one white, does that make sense? If he says white. Is there only one person you're thinking of that's white?
You're right. Okay, you're right.
If you're just,
I honestly can't.
I actually
can't think of very many white Raptors. To be fair, like realistically.
So you should start telling me who you're thinking about. That actually could help me.
Well, it's funny because Pacers and Raptors. Am I blanking on the fact that that's? It's too modern day. It doesn't matter. What's this? Because he's active. He's literally an active player.
Okay. Probably not him.
Yeah, exactly. It might. Pascal Siakam played for the Pacers and Raptors, right?
Still does.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Like he's the one that is this pairing.
Yes.
Okay.
This is like the immaculate grid, right? Where you see you're trying to think like two teams that overlap.
Yeah.
Exactly.
2005 and 2010, they weren't even like I need someone on the roster to get me like.
Were they teammates with blank? Actually,
not even as a question. I just need from in the future. That's not a bad idea, but
if you know like Kobe played for the Lakers, were they ever a teammate with Kobe?
Yep.
It's I don't know. I guess it's not really helpful because he played for the Lakers. You could just say were they a Laker, but were they a teammate of Kobe's? It would have been a Laker in a gap of time. It actually answers those questions for players that were with one team. So
how do we do
weird thing.
Raptors?
I don't fucking know.
The Suns and
I'm so pissed. I'm so pissed that Jermaine O'Neal's not the answer for this.
He fits a lot of the criteria.
I know. I'm so pissed that he's not the answer. Also, that wouldn't be a hard question to me.
Give me. Well, that's at least medium.
It's like a medium hard.
Give me a Raptor.
All right. So the Raptors started in what year did I say? Can I go back and look that up again?
Sure. I think you said 95.
He's sighing deeply. Okay. So 95. So the problem is I don't know if we don't know if they retired as a Raptor. And to be fair to Chris's point as well, the 6 years doesn't mean it has to be in succession. It could have jumped around.
I just want one Raptor. That's all.
No, I think okay. But the thing is, I don't want to tell you the name because I don't want to do the reverse thing of what
I don't care. At this point, I need anybody.
You're
looking for like a did they play with player?
No, I think he just wants me to say a name.
I want to say a name so I can start to be like, oh, that could trigger some other things.
I do not remember this guy's last name. That's the problem.
All right, what's the first name?
Antonio.
McDice.
It's not McDice. And
Brown.
And I always that's the problem is I do not remember his last name. And I because it was a big a power forward center guy, and I started remembering him because he bounced around to more than a couple teams. Okay. I didn't think he would have had 6 years as a Raptor, but the way this is timing up is I know he was a Pacer, and then I know he was in the shitty early Raptors uniforms in the mid-90s.
Okay.
But then I don't know if he then where he bounced around from there because he played for a long time. I want to say his name is Antonio Davis.
Okay.
Because this goes into my I know bullshit 2001 players.
Sure.
And I think he was pretty good around that time, which is why I'm remembering them. I don't remember if he was on the team when the Pacers played the Lakers in the finals. I thought maybe he was. But he might have left already when he was drafted in the Raptors and all that stuff.
If you want to guess it, I don't know a player named Antonio Davis.
I'm just worried it's the wrong name. I'm pretty sure the first name's fucking Antonio.
I'm not even...
Should I ask, is his last name Davis?
Yeah. And you're sure you're not just, Anthony Antonio Davis?
Okay, well, this is the problem. Is if I said the fucking name, you were going to fuck with me.
I'm not fucking with you. I'm just saying. Do you think that could be it?
No, because Antonio was a weirdly common NBA name, and I did not understand why.
Yeah.
I think there was 5 guys that were players that were named Antonio. That's such a waste of a question. I should just ask if it's the player. It doesn't answer if the first name is not Antonio.
Unless you have the first name wrong.
Well, that doesn't make me feel very good. You're not being a very good supportive teammate right now.
It's not about support. I don't know anything about the fucking Raptors.
How did I watch more NBA than you during this time period?
You want to lock this in?
No. I just want to ask, is the player Antonio Davis?
Just lock it in.
No, I just want to fucking ask. Is this player fucking Antonio Davis?
Okay, great.
Is this player Antonio Davis? You realize there were multiple Davises on the Indiana Pacers team that made the finals, right? Like Dale Davis was also a front court player.
God damn it, no. Yes! Ha! Lord!
Look,
that was not funny.
You both had an extremely deep pull.
Okay. Did this guy... Was he on the Pacers when the Lakers played them?
Was that the 01 finals?
Yes, or was he gone by then?
Antonio Davis...
I don't think he was
the
on
Raptors
the team.
in 2000, so I don't think he was on the team
I
that
don't
made the finals.
even know what this guy looks like. Cody, there was not... At least you had heard of Isaiah Thomas. I don't even know this person.
Antonio Davis was a pretty decent player in this league.
I know. Yeah, I'm looking at him. I don't know this guy.
Yeah, that's why I went for him as a hard.
Yeah.
Like an all-star caliber player, but he made the all-star team with Toronto, not with the Pacers.
Shit. That's even crazy.
Now, would Dave have known this name?
Yes.
Like, for sure. Okay.
I think Dave, that's why, I picked 3 of these for the next time, and without Dave, I was like, I don't know. But because of the Pacers-Lakers thing, I thought maybe Cody had a shot.
Oh, this is fucking funny. He was not drafted. He was in a European league and joined the NBA.
Oh, nice.
That is...
He was drafted.
Was he really?
Second round, 18th pick, 1990.
Oh, did he go overseas to start?
Probably.
Yes, he was a Pacer drafted.
Yeah, he was drafted by the Pacers, played 3 seasons overseas.
Oh, that's even
then
weirder.
Joined Indiana and didn't really come into his own until he made it to Toronto. But he was a staple in that front court of Antonio Davis and Dale Davis and Rick Smits.
Yeah,
He was really so. I think the reason, again, I weirdly know a decent amount of fucking players from the early 2000s. His All-Star season is literally 01. The year that I keep saying I paid decent attention to the NBA because the Lakers were good.
Yeah. So he was an All-Star in the 2000s. Again, it's a ways back. It's before all of us really got super into it. But he was a guy I was like, okay, like I remember him and Dale and like patrolling the front court and all that jazz. And again, Rick Smits was like 7'3" and a pasty white European guy. And
no, but
Mark Jackson was the point guard for those teams.
Yeah, you see,
Reggie Miller, obviously.
Sean, Toronto was a second-round team in the 01 playoffs. And I know the 01 playoffs decently because they lost to Philly before Philly got to the Lakers.
That makes sense. And like
there's a 2-year run of where I just know bullshit about the NBA, and I played the N64 NBA game like nonstop, and he would have been one of the better players in that game for that 2 or 3 year span.
I'm impressed. I had no clue, but I know we got to wrap up. But that was fun. I had a good time.
Good.
It's definitely harder without Dave. Anytime I think like I hope it was hard without me too when you guys did it. Like I think the three of us. Like,
we saw video proof of it. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
We saw Dave having to text you for help because he was going very much the wrong direction.
Oh yeah. So wait, so what was our how did we do?
So 42 total.
So we beat 45.
Yep. And
Look at us.
I think 40 is going to be about where this bar sits because I want the easy to be somebody you should get in like 10.
Yeah.
Or less in this case. You guys did a really good job on that one. Turned out to be vital because Tyler Hero was easy. Any, I think, modern player of any note is. I mean, you guys watch the NBA a decent amount now. So like anybody I can pick who's not, again, some random like 11th man should be pretty easy. Then this is tough. And this is why I'm not going to pick some like bench player from the 1980s Bucks. Like what
Yeah.
He actually did retire as a Raptor. He went back there and played 1 year.
That's why he got to 6 years with a second team. Is he went back there and played 8 games in his final season.
So that weirdly could have helped.
It could have, because it was the back half of his career, but
yeah,
he did have another team in between.
If I had asked that, I may have been. It might have come up sooner, but I would have just thought that he like played for the Pacers, played for the Raptors, and retired.
Well, you know what?
I did not realize he played as late as he did.
We both had miraculous pools, Cody. So we gotta feel good about that.
Made for a pretty entertaining
you especially,
game.
I think, to be honest.
Yeah.
Again, the only reason I would have been able to if he had picked a guy that was predominantly like really good in '97, wouldn't have known it.
We can wrap.
He picked the year that I would know. I know the NBA.
We can wrap up. I want to just look at the roster of like the 2001 Raptors and see if I recognize a single person.
Well, Vince Carter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's why I was going to be like, if you were still like just struggling with a question or two left, it's like, was he a teammate of Vince Carter or something? To put it on that early 2000s Raptors team.
And honestly, there's because like most of us loved Vince Carter. Honestly, I probably paid attention to the Raptors a little bit more because Vince Carter was a part of those teams.
Muggsy Bogues was on the team.
Yeah, but I don't think of him as a Raptor. I think of him as a Hornet.
Yeah, right.
And Jermaine O'Neal did indeed play until 2014.
Apparently Charles Oakley was
his
on the
season
team.
For the Suns was 2013, Jermaine O'Neal.
And it was while I lived in Flagstaff. I knew he was on the Suns once I got to Flag.
Del Curry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was one of those that was going to be tough, but it was, and again, I'm not trying to trick y'all. I'm not rooting against y'all.
No.
I want you to win. So it's like, it is an all-star caliber player, a one-time all-star, but it was somebody of note, but it's a name that's not going to be easy to pull, and you guys still pulled it off. You guys pulled both off, considering that 33 questions or so into medium and hard, you were sort of floundering to then get the 2 of those within 3 questions after that.
You know what, I helped by the strategy.
I'm not going to lie. I would not have got it if you didn't give us the Raptors question. There's no fucking way I would have got it from there. Because, honestly, I just started thinking of who was a good front court Raptors player.
How could we have gone to the Raptors? What would that have taken?
I wouldn't have got it. He gave us Raptors because I had noted the Raptors bullshit Atlantic Central thing. So he gave us the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
We would have had to go secondary Atlantic and asked literally 7 more teams. We wouldn't have been able to do it.
Well, are they part of the new Atlantic?
They are now, yeah.
Yes.
So how many teams are in the new Atlantic?
5.
Even that.
But we wouldn't have known it was New Atlantic because his career could start in 91 and then...
I would have said that we had to assume New Atlantic.
Yeah,
like if it was Old Atlantic, then we were fucked anyway.
I think he had 2 years in the Old Central and then the Atlantic after that, which is why I had to kind of be like...
And
yes, it was the Atlantic, but...
How many teams... What were the teams in the Atlantic?
Right
Sorry,
now.
we're way over. This is fascinating.
No, if you're having fun, fuck it.
It's the Celtics, the Knicks, the Nets, the Raptors, and what other team? And Philly? Is that the Atlantic Division right now?
I think so. I don't remember the East offhand very well.
So this is 10 and 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I think it would have been fun because the Raptors may have been the last one that we picked out of those 5 teams.
You would have had to figure out a way to cut them in half like you did with the left-hand side.
I would have done the state of New York. And that would have gotten us 2 of them.
So you could have gotten there with like 1 or 2 left. Of course, you need one to ask if it's the player. You might have had one more to play with.
I would have probably gone. So the Raptors question would have been: did they play for? If you wanted to hypothetically go New Atlantic, I would have said: did they primarily play for a secondary, whatever? Well, the problem is he was a fucking Knick. Also, is the other shitty part here.
Correct. That could have gotten you in some trouble.
And so if we said the secondary team was primarily in the state of New York, the answer would be no.
Yeah.
Then we would have had to somehow say
3 teams.
Were they in it? Then it would have just been it's the Sixers, Knicks, and Raptors. So then when I said, did he play for a team? Was it a team that he primarily played for? Blah blah blah. That would have been played in the 80s because the Raptors are an expansion team. The answer would have been no. That's how I would have finagled that.
And then we would have Canada.
But then Canada. But I would have rather do 2-2-1, and so I would have rather paired New York teams, really old teams, and then we would have gotten Raptors by default. By doing, if you asked Raptors, I guess, or Canada,
there's a couple different ways to get, but yeah.
So the best we could have done would be no. The Raptors would have been the default team, and I would have had 3 questions to get it, with one being have to ask the players.
Yeah, so we wouldn't have been
I might have still got it.
We had a chance. The fact that Antonio Davis was your first guess.
It was my first guess from a big man that would have played for the Raptors.
The only shot in this alternate dimension where we would have had a chance.
We would have still beat 45 because it would have been.
That's true.
If you had gotten there, you still had time. Yep.
It would have only been. It would be 2 more questions. 1 more question because the Raptors would trade for New York.
Right. Yep.
Davis would be 1 down, and I wouldn't have had to ask about the Raptors because I would have known by default.
Yeah.
So I think I would have got it with 1 more question if he didn't give us the Raptors part.
And this goes to show you, I think there's the backcourt, frontcourt approach is a very good one. I'm not criticizing it when I say this. The frontcourt can get you in a little bit of trouble only because it's like Danny Granger is a frontcourt player.
Yes.
But is it like a big, like an Antonio Davis, or is it like a rangy, wiry 3?
The thing, he did say it early. He's like, well, if they were drafted in blank, then they're going to be a big, stupid guy and not a
Antonio Davis.
A swing guy. And that's when I was like, Granger, George. Okay, but those were all post-90 stuff.
Yeah.
So
it's funny that you had both Jermaine O'Neal and Brad Miller that fit several of these categories, but you still got the right answer. So congratulations, you guys won.
Hell yeah!
You can tell Dave all about it. He'll probably he should go back and watch this episode. Maybe he already has. Maybe he's now 90 minutes into it, going, "Hey, that's me. I'm Dave." But
yeah,
we'll see what he says because I bet you he will watch this one, especially if he knows this is what it's about.
I will say we lucked out with it being the Pacers, and I don't know Bucks players for shit. Like I don't know any
Glenn Big Dog Robinson. Come on,
I don't know any old Bucks players really at all.
Yeah, that was. Yeah.
And the Pacers, because we made a joke about it that it was like, oh, I only know Reggie Miller. I'm like, wait a minute, no, I don't. I actually know a handful.
How about
more
old
Pacers.
Charlotte? Like
you should know 2 good players in the front court off of old Charlotte. NBA Jam, they were one of the best teams.
Yeah, like Muggsy Bogues.
Glenn Rice.
No, the bigs on that team. Larry Johnson, Alonzo Mourning.
Oh, yes. Larry Johnson, yes. I literally forget Alonzo Mourning was a Charlotte Hornet.
To me, wasn't Alonzo Mourning on the Heat
yes.
for a while?
Yeah, he was, towards the back half of his career.
He was a Hornet.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, that's the end of this episode. We have one more next week without Dave, where I believe we're going to be going over some TV stuff, like Severance.
100.
Challenge.
And Challenge.
So we'll do that, and we'll tell Dave not to watch that episode because he intends to watch at least one of those shows, and it will spoil it for him.
Only
but
one of those shows.
You know, Severance has certainly been big-time water cooler material if anybody still had water coolers. So we'll talk about some of that next week before Dave returns, and then we'll see a week after that. Could be Suns Cast. Who knows? We'll figure it out when Dave gets back. Thank you for watching. In between episodes, you can find us at our website, grayareas.live or youtube.com/@grayareaslive. We'll see you next week.
Cool.